It's the Odd Drunk Podcast, a very strange podcast, the drunkest show in the world. It's Jackson and Colton talking out of their ass. We don't care as long as drinks are poured. Sometimes we have our friends here. We will talk about anything. We don't care as long as we have beer. And if you let that whiskey ring. The Odd Drunk Podcast.
Welcome back to the Odd Drunk Podcast. Once again, we are here and alive. Are we real? Are we human?
Or are we dancer?
Or are we dancer? Yes. We have a new... well, this is our first time recording in Discord. Yes, the two old boomers here are finally getting with the times. And yeah, no more Zoom, because that shit not only was pricey, but also just frustrating. And,
Zoom is annoying.
It made me feel like a boomer. But we also have Craig here, a bot that is recording us. So this is our first guest in a while, technically.
Yeah.
He does not speak, only when we start recording. He says in a very robotic voice, starting recording. But he always listens.
He's always listening to us, no matter what.
He's there. Yeah. And yeah, so we're going to get this going. We've got a spooky, and I think it's quite on theme, that we have something that often pretends to be human online, a bot.
Yeah, Craig isn't really a person.
I mean, his profile is a bear. I guess he's a bear.
It's a bear. Like Yogi.
The uncanny, yes, Yogi Bear. I'm sure that's a thing. I'm sure that's a thing.
Anyways, Jackson will go get us a picnic basket.
If you haven't guessed already by reading the title, if you do that thing, reading. I'm sorry, I shouldn't insult our listeners right off the bat on our first episode.
Do you guys even know how to read?
Read?
What is that?
Yeah. Anyways, this episode is going to be all about the Uncanny Valley. And we'll explain. I think everyone has an idea of what that means.
Uh-huh.
You know, there's been a lot of memes. Well, memes is a funny way to put it. But there's, then a lot of TikToks and YouTube shorts concerning the Uncanny Valley, and even people doing Uncanny Valley makeup, which is something I shared earlier.
They in all these videos, they range in quality.
Oh yeah, that's a good way of putting it. But you know, it's something that's always been there and always been. It's sometimes it's hard to put your finger on it, but when you see it, you know it. You know something's off. And we did an episode. Well, anyways, before we get into it, let's a classic segment of ours is what you are drinking today.
Yeah.
And what are you drinking today?
What do I have here? I have.
You can see what I have.
I look like a bottle of something. I can't. Oh, it's the double X.
Double X. You're so white. Yes. I don't always drink, but when I do drink, it's double X.
You know,
it's Dos Equis.
You know, working at a liquor store in a pretty white town. I would not be I wouldn't be surprised if someone came in and said, "Do you have the double X?
Can I get that double X?
Do you have the double X beer?"
Yeah.
I I have here.
It's ready.
It's been a while since we've had this on the show. I've got some plantation rum.
Dude, I love that bottle.
Throwback. They renamed it. It's not called Plantation anymore. It's called Plantere. I don't know why they renamed it, but I'm also drinking some sparkling water.
Nice.
Stay hydrated.
Yeah, the summer months are coming, and I brought some coconut water to work. I had to work today.
Ooh, I love coconut water.
And I washed my cup, and it's this big like straw tumbler thing. It's a Venom one. Pretty cool. I got it at Spencer's. But I washed it, but I don't think I got all the soap out because that tasted like some soapy coconut water, in my opinion. And my stomach didn't feel so good.
Just drink some soap.
Drinking some soap.
Maybe they use
where was I
coconut
going with that?
oil in any soaps out there? Maybe
they sure do. And you know, some people think it tastes like lotion. But that's because a lot of lotions
soap
have. No, I mean coconuts. Yes, soap. Yeah, it sure does. Anyways, I don't know where I was going with that, but that's something that happened.
Soap tastes like coconuts.
Tastes like I've also got. Lotion. I've had it like a year ago, but I also have. I was at a Total Wine and I ran into it again. I was like, you know what? It's kind of that time of year again for some tropical stuff. Mm-hmm. And I got this banana bourbon from Howling Monkey.
Oh, yeah.
If you're into sweeter whiskeys, well, let me just say this. If you're not into sweeter whiskeys or whiskeys that lean closer towards a liqueur, I think it's one that people would generally enjoy because it's more just the banana flavor, but not without a lot of the sweetness.
Yeah,
it's more of just a flavor. You know what I mean? But I enjoy it.
I just know at our shop it didn't sell well.
I don't imagine it selling it well there. And old people especially wouldn't buy it. But I'm not old yet.
No, they want that double X.
yeah, they want that double X. And to be honest, me and my friends, some of my work friends, I have a work friend that's graduating college. Mm-hmm. So good for him. I know what makes me feel old. But we went out and we basically went out to Mexican Hooters. And of course they had Dos Equis. But to be honest, I've always been a Modelo guy.
Yeah.
Pacifico every once in a while. Corona when I'm desperate or when it's the only thing. Mm-hmm. Like as far as Mexican lagers go.
Yeah.
Ska, Mexi lager. But Dos Equis honestly is it is popular for a reason. I think it's actually one of the better import beers.
It's pretty decent, yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I think it might be a little better Modelo. Is that
them's bees fighting words?
Fighting words, yeah. I don't know.
No, yeah,
I enjoy it.
I mean,
pretty smooth.
I mean, that type of beer in general, I don't have the highest standards because I'm not drinking it because I'm being a beer snob. I'm drinking it because it's refreshing and tasty.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like even a shitty Mexican lager, I still enjoy because it's just like
they're perfect for the summer.
A cold beer with a lime. It's tasty.
Yeah,
it's good. It's good stuff.
Just like with Guinness, I drink that in the autumn and the winter months.
Yeah.
But stouts and stuff like that. But during the summer, I just want a basic, no nonsense lager.
Yep.
And I think, I still love Coors and every, Banquet. And PBR ain't that bad.
Yeah.
We got to recover that clip and put it in our soundboard now that
Yeah.
we're here. Anyways, let's get to the topic here and set the tone.
Yes.
It's much darker than it seems in my room. My webcam, is shining in my face.
It's not dark at all in my room.
I see that.
I have
bright as it seems.
I have the big fuck you light on.
In fact, I'm contemplating just to. This is probably not going to look well. Hey Google, turn off bedroom lights. Webcam works.
Yeah.
Now I'm sitting in darkness with nothing but you and my wide screen. Now I got a ultra wide, and
Nice.
I would say it's on the smaller end of ultra wides. Like it's a 3440 by 1440, so it's the same the same resolution as my other screen, just wider.
Nice.
Yeah. And I think if you don't have a ton of space, but also you don't want to deal with a multi-screen setup, I think they're fun and useful. But I contemplated doing it, but I was like, I don't need it. But this, I basically have two screens just put together.
Yeah.
And I have tons of room.
They're pretty cool.
Most AAA games support them now. That resolution, even Oblivion Remastered, and like having that extra peripheral it's pretty cool. Yeah, it is a bit harder to run with my graphics card, but not maybe like a 10 FPS, 15 FPS difference.
Right.
Maybe like in open world areas and whatever. Like Doom Eternal though.
Yeah.
Runs crazy smooth.
Oh, Doom Eternal is like a stupidly well optimized game.
And honestly, I wasn't thinking of this at the time, but with Dark Ages coming out, and I've seen reviews, it's getting great reviews, and I've already got it pre-ordered. But with Dark Ages coming out, the game itself is going to have way more wide open field areas and open areas. And like with the shield mechanic and like kind of a rhythm game mechanic of like, are more visual, but like with the different colors, you block this color, you dodge the other color, or but with the wide open fields, like I imagine on the wide screen, it's going to be a lot of fun. And maybe give a slight advantage or not. I know the extra peripheral, but either way, it's fun.
Yeah,
and
that game.
If
looks
you're thinking
awesome.
about it,
if
you're thinking about getting an ultra wide, I would recommend it as long as you have.
Yeah.
Something that can run well on it.
Right.
Yeah. But you can still play your games in a normal 16:9 resolution. Just have the black bars on the side.
Yeah. Yeah. So like if it doesn't support,
because a lot of games because a lot of older games don't support it natively, at least, without modding or without stretching the screen. But that's not really supporting it.
Yeah. Yeah, you can stretch the screen on any game.
But on any game. But the black bars is fine. It's like when you watch a widescreen film, which is most movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, the black, and you forget about them. The first couple minutes. Speaking of movies, and I'll talk more about it on Morning Oddities because that's what it's meant for. Because we'll get to the real episode. But I saw Thunderbolts.
Oh yeah.
And to be honest, Thunderbolts asterisk. And to be honest, I was interested in it just because of Florence Pugh and like she's been in a lot of good stuff. And I like David Harbour. I like the characters that are in it. But just Marvel after Captain America and after like Quantumania, they've had Guardians 3, but everyone knew that was gonna be good because it was James Gunn. It was the last one. And No Way Home with the fan base, but it's been a weak phase, a couple phases since Endgame.
Yeah.
Some people would be more harsh than that. Some people might be more forgiving, but it's been a weaker phase. And Deadpool and Wolverine, but that's fan service. No Way Home is fan service. We have it. Basically, any good movie we had is either fan service or part of a already good trilogy. But to have a new Marvel movie, a new story, basically new characters without relying on a bunch of cameos and throwbacks, I was skeptical, but it turned out so well, and you can see the reviews.
Yeah.
Critics really liked it. Audiences like it even more. Like it's sitting like 89% critics, 94% audience. But you care about that or not? I saw it, and I can attest. Is it fantastic? Just like great? Just like, oh man, this is the new. This is like on the level of Endgame or on the level of Winter Soldier. Not quite, but it's trying to do something. It's trying to actually be a movie and tell a story.
Yeah.
And it tells it's probably the darkest MCU movie, like in tone and themes. Like it deals with depression, drug abuse, all kinds of things. And it's more of a character drama than it is an action movie. It's still got the action beats.
Does it have any nanotech helmets?
No.
Good.
Well, Ghost, but hers is more phasing. It's her power set.
Yeah.
So it makes sense for her.
Good.
Aside from that,
I'm
like
sick of
U.S. Agent, they even joke about U.S. Agent's John Walker's helmet because Yelena is like, so do you like your hat? And he's like, you mean my helmet? And she's like, whatever you want to call it. And he was like, yeah, I think it's a pretty cool hat.
That's pretty good.
There's a lot of little moments like that, but it's not like MCU humor where everyone has to be the funniest person in the room.
Yeah.
Some characters are just funny because of their character. Like Red Guardian is funny because he's super enthusiastic.
He's
Russian.
He's just kind of a funny character.
He's just funny Russian dad, you know. John Walker's funny because he's an asshole.
Yeah.
And everyone knows he is, and he knows he is. And he's like, oh, maybe I should stop being an asshole because even one character is like, aren't you supposed to be Captain America? Because you're an ass. Also, and Yelena, Florence Pugh steals the show.
I've heard that. I've heard she's like,
and there's a scene,
I mean, I've heard they're all really good in it, but I've heard
they're all really
she's
good.
like the highlight like actor.
Just the dramatic scenes with her take the movie to another level. Yeah, the action's good, and there's a really, really cool scene. Like for people that are into powerful OP characters, there's a really rewarding scene.
Mm-hmm.
And because they introduce probably the most powerful MCU character, and it feels right. Like it doesn't feel cheap. Like, and that's also a testament to his actual performance. Lewis Pullman, who plays Bob.
Yeah.
Who, if you've been living under a rock, he is Sentry.
Yeah.
And Sentry is got the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns. He's more powerful. They even say he's more powerful than all the Avengers rolled into one. But they actually show that. But it's not just for the sake of another character that's one-upping a character.
Yeah. Sentry is actually a really, really powerful, like, OP character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's, like, multiversal power. Like,
yeah.
In fact, I have a theory that he's going to replace Molecule Man and Secret Wars. He's going to be Doctor Doom's lapdog.
Yeah.
Somehow, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, great performance there, because he basically plays, like, 3 different characters in the movie. 3 different personalities. In fact, Sentry's very similar to Moon Knight.
Mm-hmm.
In that he's got these different personalities that even change his power set depending on which personality he is.
Yeah.
So and they have a lot of fun. And yeah, Bucky's back in it. Sebastian Stan, he's great.
Yeah.
And it's fun seeing him be a leader in this, and like he gets a really cool action piece. Like they make him feel, he's not Winter Soldier kill mode, but they give him another kind of cool Winter Soldier moment.
Yeah.
And,
well, I mean, I love Bucky as a character. I do think he has never felt as dangerous in a movies
like
since Winter Soldier. Like,
and maybe Civil War, but
which doesn't, that makes sense. As
there is one scene,
a character, because like, of course, when he was under the mind control,
He's in kill mode.
He's in kill mode.
Like a Terminator.
Yeah. So it would make sense that he maybe doesn't let loose.
He holds back
like that when he's not in that
there
mode.
Is,
but he
there
is
is
still
a scene,
dangerous, and he should still be,
There is a scene where he lets loose.
Nice.
And all in vain. Because they're going against Sentry.
Of course, yeah.
And without spoiling too much, I just, the Superman versus Justice League scene when he's like bad at first with his shirt off.
Yeah.
This is done so much better than that, in my opinion. Just because he's not even trying. Like, it's just like,
nice.
He's just like, this is just like doing an errand. Like, it's just not even like, because they are in fact, there's Louise Dreyfus character. She tells Sentry to eliminate them to prove a point.
Right. And
he was like, "Why? They're no threat to me." but no, it's really good, and I don't want to spoil any more for anyone that hasn't seen it. I'm sure you've seen the title change, the asterisk meaning by this point. Maybe
finally we'll have a character in the mainstream that dweebs online who think they know what they're talking about will actually be right when they say they could beat Superman in a fight.
Well, the discussions have already started. Snyder, DC, Henry Cavill Superman versus MCU Sentry.
Oh my gosh!
And people don't understand is Sentry is Marvel's Superman, but with bipolar disorder, essentially.
Yeah,
But it's a lot more than that. Though.
And I suppose it depends on the version of Superman, but Sentry is generally more powerful than Superman.
And that's it's meant to be a parody of Superman.
Yeah.
And then people are, Sentry versus Homelander. A coughing baby versus hydrogen bomb.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even...
Yeah. I love those discussions.
The boys' universe is weaker than any other comic universe.
I love those discussions of like people trying to say like Homelander wouldn't win in a fight against Superman.
Or like Omni-Man.
Yeah, or I saw it was actually the actor who plays Homelander. He was just asked in an interview, which I'm not going to put this on him.
Right.
He doesn't. Right. I don't expect him to.
Well, it's his character, of course.
And of course he's going to talk up to his character. But he was just like, oh yeah, Homelander would win against Superman because Homelander is willing to fight.
Doesn't care.
Is willing to fight dirty, and it's just
Zod was.
And I'm just like,
Well, for one, Zod was on Superman's level, and Superman still killed him.
Yeah, Superman is powerful for a Kryptonian.
And the whole Superman, I watched Superman 1 and 2, the Richard Donner cut and everything.
Yeah.
And I love how he beats him there because he tricks him.
Yeah.
He doesn't. And Christopher Reeve is the GOAT, man.
He's the best.
Yeah. I'm excited for the new Superman, but there'll be no one else. Just the way.
Yeah.
No, we'll get to the topic, but just the way he goes from Clark Kent, hunched over, awkward, bumbling into everything, clumsy, awkward. But then as soon as he switches Superman, puffs his chest out. Like, you can see why you think he's a different character.
I've had this discussions with people. It's like
the date night where he's Superman.
Yeah.
Doing the interview, then he flies off, and then he stumbles in as Clark Kent.
I've had this conversation with people. Like, someone will be like, "How the hell does he fool anyone? Like, he's obviously still Clark Kent." And it's just like when you watch him on screen, you go, "Okay, I kind of get it."
Like, when you watch Christopher Reeve, it makes sense because he actually tries to be a different.
The other thing I
Henry Cavill. I like him. He's a good Superman, but a bad Clark Kent because he doesn't do anything to. He's just the same guy with glasses.
Yeah. Also, the other thing, I saw someone point out. They were like, Superman has the best the best disguise because the public, he has a backstory that he can prove. He goes, I'm the
Right,
alien
yeah.
Kal-El from the planet Krypton, and here's proof of that. And
Yeah, he doesn't hide his...
and in the public knowledge, that is common knowledge.
Because he has 3 identities. Superman, Kal-El, and Clark.
Yeah.
Really?
Pretty much, yeah. And it's like in the public eye, that's common knowledge. They know that he's Kal-El. They know he lives at the Fortress of Solitude. You know, I saw someone point out they were like, yeah, he looks like Clark Kent looks like Superman, but it would be like if you had a coworker who looked and sounded like Liam Neeson,
Right.
and and
Irish.
yeah, like looked and sounded exactly like
Yeah.
Liam Neeson, except for he wore glasses or something. And one of your coworkers was like, "I think Jim over here is actually Liam Neeson. I really think he is." You would be like, "No, you fucking idiot."
Yeah.
Liam Neeson is a real person.
Well,
who lives in Hollywood, who has a mansion. He has an address there. He's not working at our fucking office here in like.
Anyways, enough tangent. We can save that for morning oddities.
Yeah.
Let's get into this episode.
Yes.
So, it's gonna be another spooky one. But what I like about this whole topic is that it's not inherently
it's not like
so,
a horror
it can be so
subject.
I think the people that
exactly.
take it too horror don't get the point. Like when you see these edits are I mean, to a certain degree, like even things like the Mandela catalog, I think when it first started, and we've done a couple episodes on it, when it first started, I think the subtlety of like the mimics, and we'll talk about that, but the shadow people, what were they called? The alternates.
Alternates, yeah.
Like, oh, it's human, but just a little bit off. I think that's scarier than like, oh, big googly eye monster, you know, like.
Yeah. I also find
the Uncanny Valley is creepier than anything any horror movie, most horror movies have done.
Yeah.
You know, like it's because it's something that you can't quite put your finger on it, but you are your brain is telling you.
But I'll also point
wrong.
like say I think you can go online, you can look up Uncanny Valley like videos and edits that people have done. A lot of them I don't find to be very creepy, and it's because it's like
trying.
Yeah, it feels like it's trying to look like that when it is at its most creepy when you can't quite pinpoint what's off.
Yeah.
You know.
Like but before we get into it and actually talk about it and pull up some examples, because I'm gonna screen share some stuff. And we'll see if that records. I don't know. But that would be more interesting for you listeners and you know, maybe sometime viewers. I don't know. Anyways, let's define Uncanny Valley. So this is from simplypsychology.com.
It's a place. It's an actual valley. It's in Wisconsin.
It's in the Uncanny. Welcome to Uncanny Valley, Wisconsin. Anyways, so Uncanny Valley is a theory in aesthetics suggesting a humanoid object appearing almost, but not exactly, like a real human can evoke feelings of eeriness or revulsion rather than familiarity due to the object's proximity to reality yet noticeable imperfections. The Uncanny Valley is a hypothesized relationship between the extent to which a humanoid resembles an actual human and the negative emotional response such a humanoid evokes. And it was essentially quantified and discovered in 1970, Japanese professor of robotics Masahiro Mori identified the phenomenon, which would translate to Uncanny Valley. I'm not going to try to pronounce that. Is basically, and there's a graph. Let me see if I can find that. It's got examples here, but there's an Uncanny Valley graph that we'll refer to, and we'll see where things sit on this graph, you know?
Yeah.
And we'll talk about common examples and all that. Here we go. Let me enlarge this a little bit. This JPEG. Here, I'll start screen sharing so you can see all this. No need to go live. Oh, I have to go live, but we won't share it. Well, we're gonna share it, I guess, but not live. Here we go. Let's just do that. Good, and it's a separate thing. Discord's so good. So here's the graph here. So at the start, so you have human likeness at the bottom, affinity on the y-axis, human likeness on the x-axis. Obviously, the further right you go, the closer you get to human likeness.
Yeah.
Start out in industrial robot. Obviously, a robot arm putting cars together in a factory doesn't look anything human.
Yeah.
There's nothing to be.
Yeah.
But then we get to toy robot. That could be perhaps something in a humanoid shape, like the GoBot or whatever. The thing that came out in the 2000s. Or a like a Bender or yeah. And then, you get closer, let's say doll. So you have a doll here. It doesn't say that there, but like a doll. And maybe it's, you have a doll that doesn't look like at all like a human, but it's representing a human.
Yeah.
Like a Bratz doll or like a what's another kid thing? Well, you see plenty of dolls of like a new show that's like a plushie of a human girl, but it's like Dora or what? Well, I guess that's not new, but Dora or whatever. But it's obviously not trying to look human. It's just a representation of a human, a cartoon of a human.
Just just a toy. Yeah.
But then you get closer to like the American Girl dolls.
Yeah.
And this is why a lot of people find dolls creepy, especially the old-fashioned like ceramic dolls with the cracking in them and everything.
I saw
beady eyes that roll back.
My sister sent me a thing. It was a link, and it was like American Doll releasing the first its first deaf doll, and they were like,
I shouldn't be laughing.
And they were just like, "Oh yeah, inclusion's great and all that," but they were just like, "Wait a second, the other ones could hear us."
I can always hear. Yeah. Yeah. So then we get to here we go. This already evokes Uncanny Valley as soon as I see it.
Yeah.
This American Girl doll. To many girls and boys, this would be a friendly face.
Yeah, a lot of people love them. They sell very well. But
people have different tolerances. Wait, it paused my. Yeah, people have different tolerances on their limit or their
like what they actually
the actual like breach, like what constitutes uncanny.
Yeah.
For me, this is starting to get there already.
Yeah.
But I've always had a natural fear of dolls. Well, not fear, but just creepiness, eeriness. Because they're trying to look like a human girl, but they're not.
I mean, there's a reason why dolls are a common thing in the horror genre.
Yeah, like Annabelle, Chucky.
Yeah.
And Chucky doesn't quite hit. Well, I guess he does, but I mean, not really, because he's the thing. Like with Chucky, why he doesn't really creep me out, and I mean, I think he's just a funny kind of horror character, kind of like a Freddy Krueger kind of character. Yeah. But even maybe beyond that, especially with the Bride of Chucky, all that stuff.
Well, it's
but like, he's not creepy to me personally, because when he gets fucked up and everything, I think he's creepier before he gets fucked up and gets the scars. Because then it's like trying to be too scary, too slasher.
It's like in horror movies that do like a doll character. They're usually not trying to target the uncanny valley. They're trying to target just the fact that people are creeped out by dolls in general. But the reason why maybe people are creeped out by dolls is possibly because of the end. I do want to point out before we get too far into it. The uncanny valley is a hypothesized thing.
No, yeah, I mean
it's not like a widely agreed upon actual psychological phenomenon. It's just a thing that we have observed in a lot of people.
It's but it's it's all subjective,
Yeah.
you know. What you find creepy, someone else may find appeasing. You
Yeah.
know,
I mean that's one of the big reasons why it's not a widely agreed upon like actual psychological phenomenon. Oh my god, cats.
there you go.
But it's because it's very subjective. Not everyone like finds that stuff
That's Uncanny Valley.
creepy.
That is creepy.
Also the
We
the actual things that make something seem uncanny to one person might not be the same details
exactly.
that make it uncanny to another.
But we
person.
all experience it inexplicably because it's just not our brain is trying to compute the visual information and it's off. And like we're gonna discuss why we feel that way. You know, is it part of our primal instinct, our response, our our lizard brain?
Yeah.
And we'll get into the more the paranormal kind of just fun conspiracy theory stuff like the predator theory,
Yeah.
which is the mimic theory. We'll talk about that. But like, yeah, this Cats, man, which we watched the whole movie,
Mm-hmm.
And it creeped me out the whole time I was watching it. But then I just got bored, because but it was because it was just really bad. I mean, I don't care how creepy it is. When it's bad, it's bad. Yeah, Jennifer Hudson and Cats, but any character, but hers, there's the man. Yeah, it's just terrible. And why is that? Well, because at least when I see this, it is, the whole furry thing. But they took it another level. They took it a step too far.
Yeah.
Because she has human lips and a human nose. They didn't even do like Khajiit, like with a cat nose. Like, I don't get creeped out by the Khajiit.
Yeah.
I do get creeped out about some other characters in Oblivion, like Martin Septim kind of creeps me out. He kind of has Uncanny Valley vibes. Because the motion the facial animations is a little too
stares at you.
Because you either have people in Oblivion and still in Oblivion Remastered that either look like a weird creature that's trying to look like a human, which that's like the predator mimic theory, or it looks human but it's just off. And I don't know what's I don't know what I prefer, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I met the Countess of Bruma,
mm-hmm.
and she didn't quite give me Uncanny Valley, but I was like, that doesn't look like an actual person.
Well, it's like in Oblivion,
but
one thing I've noticed, and this is still in the remake.
Because it's the realism of it is
people's eyes don't quite do what they're supposed to do all the time.
Yeah,
that's a big thing that contributes.
So Oblivion Remastered, as much as I love it, I think the the realism they put on top of it definitely gives certain characters not everyone, but certain characters that Uncanny Valley, especially the human characters.
Yeah.
Obviously, a Khajiit and Argonian or an orc aren't even trying to look human, so it doesn't creep me out. Yes, they are humanoid, and I think I could see some people get creeped out by a Khajiit because it's a cat person, but it's not a cat with human organs, human features, okay? Like if all they did, tone down the lips and give her a cat nose, yeah, the human eyes would still throw me off, but it would be way easier to look at.
Yeah.
Because I'd be looking at basically a Khajiit, and maybe the director was who knows what the fuck the director was smoking, but I think that's one of the recent Uncanny Valley movies.
Or if they had actual actors in cat costumes.
Right, just that.
Instead of
not the motion
CGI
capture.
Motion capture.
But
because that I think is a big part of it too.
And yeah, sometimes it just looks goofy. Like Idris Elba looks goofy in this, but it's also it's wrong. It's not right. And then yeah, of course, because it originally came from robotics and making robots closer to human. The movies like Ex Machina and stuff like that, but I don't think that quite gets it. But I think this, this robot here,
Oh yeah, the robots that are designed to actually
like
have
have a
a
human
face
face.
and everything.
Yeah.
They're definitely weird. They
In fact, I think since we're on the robot, I think some of the original Terminator has actually both Terminators have some uncanny valley, in
Yeah.
particular when it's the makeup, because it's the best makeup they could do at the time when he's part of his eyes ripped off, or Schwarzenegger's face is ripped open, and it's like the weird model prosthetic, and that gives uncanny valley vibes, and that
Yeah.
adds to the
but
creepiness, especially
that's
the original Terminator
yeah,
movie.
that adds to it though,
um
because it's like he is a robot.
no, it adds to it. And I think, like, if Terminators were real, I think if your survival instincts are fine-tuned enough, you might not know what it is, but you might notice something off about that person's, but
Yeah.
not just their features, but the way they act, the way they move, the way they talk.
I do
That also
recall
contributes to uncanny.
seeing something where Arnold Schwarzenegger, when they made Terminator, they made a point to where he was tried to act in a way that a robot would act, so he doesn't look down to reload his gun, because a robot wouldn't need to do that.
And I think Terminator is one of those movies that, without James Cameron, without knowing, was tapping into the uncanny valley before it was even, well, I guess it was quantified, but before it was well known.
Yeah.
And then we did a whole episode on liminal spaces, and I think I even mentioned this, that liminal spaces are the uncanny valley of place.
Yeah.
And I think some examples definitely do better than others on actually evoking that.
Yeah.
And I was watching a YouTube video that was progressively creepier liminal spaces or something like that. And this one guy described it as, this commenter described it as, let me see if I can find it. But he described liminal space, especially like the creepier ones, as you're home, but you are when you are home, but you want to go home.
Right.
Or like, I saw someone else describe this feeling as a dream that you just woke up from, but you can't remember.
Yeah.
But it was wrong. It was creepy.
Yeah.
And I've had so many dreams like that.
What makes it
Aren't nightmares, but
the whole uncanny thing is exactly that. It's you can't quite place your finger on exactly what it is you're noticing. But it's there. I mean, it's possible. I've thought about it a lot before. It's possible that when it comes to the uncanny valley with humans and the human-like faces, a large part of it probably has a lot to do with our brains are just really, really good at recognizing faces.
Well, we can even I forget what the phenomenon's called, but we can see faces in random objects.
Yeah,
like a car.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if
your headlights look
if
like
I were
eyes.
if I were to draw a smiley face, smiley faces don't look anything like a face.
But
when you think about it, actually,
you see two eyes and a mouth.
But we see it as a face because we're so good at that. But it also means that we're also really good at recognizing faces, which means if there's something that's off, but it's so close that we're not quite sure what's off.
Yes,
we notice.
No, because all a smiley face is, like a basic smiley face, is two dots or two circles and then a curve at the bottom.
Yeah, we don't have to think about why it doesn't seem quite right. Which is why in movies, movies are really common.
Isn't that interesting though?
Of
we are fine tuned through evolution, thousands of years or hundreds of thousand years or millions of years.
Yeah.
Since the hominids.
Well, I mean, I also think part of it is
to know what a face looks like, even when it's just a couple of shapes.
Yeah,
we know that,
and it's also we spend. I mean, it's through evolution, but also day-to-day lives, we spend so
Yeah.
much time looking at real human faces, but we don't actively think about the details of how faces look and move all the
No.
time. So it's like the equivalent. I think it's like the equivalent of you go home every day and you sit down on your couch. If I were to break into your apartment and move your couch 6 inches to the left, you might not notice immediately when you sit down on your couch, but you're gonna notice.
I would.
It might take you a minute to realize
something will be
what's off.
Yeah.
And, you know, in that situation, you would figure it out eventually, but it might take you a minute because you know what your couch feels like, but you don't actually think about that every time you sit down on your couch. You know, you don't take in your surroundings and go, okay, the couch is actually positioned right here. So it's like, we look at human faces every single day, but we're not constantly also thinking about them. So when something's off, it's why in like CGI in movies, it's so hard. The hardest thing to do in CGI is to get a human face right, because you get something slightly off, people notice. Versus other CGI stuff, people are less likely to notice because they're not as fine tuned to notice it.
You bring that up. I have a list from Screen that right here, and we'll just go through it. I'm not gonna like read through it, but we'll look at some of these images, these screenshots. So it has here uncanny 11 worst examples. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but uncanny valley examples in movies.
Right.
And here, starting us off, it has Hulk from 2000, the Eric Bana Hulk, Ang Lee Hulk. That doesn't give me creepy, like, uncanny valley vibes to me.
No.
Maybe for some people, but all I see is a big green dude.
Yeah, I mean,
it's old CGI.
Yeah, it's not the best, but
it's not the best, but it's not. It's not trying to just be a regular person. He's green.
Yeah, he's the Hulk.
He's the Hulk.
Yeah,
I mean,
like it's fine.
Now, I would say if you made him just tan, just a human color,
it would look weird.
That would look weird, and but since he's green, he's supposed to be the Hulk. We know what he is. That doesn't give me uncanny valley.
Yeah.
Interesting. So next it has the Lion King, the remake. Now this is a different example of uncanny valley, and I can see where they're coming from. I guess if you're an animal, you would find this weird, but photorealistic animals. But I think what contributes the most to the uncanny valley here is the human voices.
Right.
So it's obviously it's an animal, but it's speaking and singing. So that, could be a degree, I guess. Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're talking Christmas Carol. I'm sure Polar Express is going to be like number 2 or 1 here, but
yeah.
Christmas Carol, it has Tiny Tim listed as the example, but I think pretty much every character, except for Scrooge, because there's I have seen people that look like him, but all these Robert Zemeckis motion capture, this whole vibe he was going for, and I'm so glad it's not a thing in most animated films anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, they always have a creepy vibe. Like,
yeah, it looks weird.
It's not like, I think maybe it's not as bad as Polar Express because that was the first one, and the CGI wasn't quite there.
I mean,
I'll tell you when we get to it. I'll tell you the one in Polar Express that actually creeps me out the most.
I mean, I feel like with stuff like Polar Express and this, it's a different type of uncanny valley where like uncanny valley in some situations might be like they're really trying to get a photorealistic human, but they're not quite there. This was like it's still trying to be an animation. They just took it a little bit too far into the realistic.
Yeah.
Oh,
Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator Salvation.
Oh, yeah.
Bad CGI face.
Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely does evoke. Well, it just evokes bad CGI to me. It doesn't necessarily creep me out. Like I said, I think the actual makeup in the original Terminator movies creeped me out more, just because the skin tone, everything was just so off about it. I don't know, but that's just me
Yeah.
personally. It's all subjective. Someone might look at this and not just see bad CGI, but actually get creeped out by it. I mean, personally, I think, yeah, it's like if we're gonna rate these on the scale here, I would say, I don't even see my mouse. So
Yeah,
it's like
somewhere.
somewhere
Yeah.
it's in the valley, but it's not like peak.
It's not the worst.
Yeah, it's not the worst. Going down. Okay, Grand Moff Tarkin in Rogue One. This is the first time
Yeah.
they brought back someone back from the dead, and that makes it even more off. Knowing that
I watched that movie recently, Rogue One, and I was looking at that
broke me off.
scene, and it was like, I didn't find it creepy. Like
I think it's more.
It wasn't unsettling to me, but it definitely does have that element of it's really hard to pinpoint exactly what's wrong.
It feels inappropriate because the man's passed away. You know? But his family, gave his estate gave him the good grace to do it, and quite similarly in the new Alien movie, which I'm really excited for Alien Earth, and I'm so excited for new Predator movies. Like, we're in a Alien and Predator renaissance.
Yeah.
Like, actually good movies, again. But the new Alien movie brought back Ian Holm as the droid, as Ash.
Yeah.
And apparently they fixed it. Like, it's better now on Disney Plus, on Hulu, like when you stream it. And I think they may have fixed Tarkin too, and like touched it up on post.
Yeah.
For streaming. But on release, when I saw it, like, not opening night, but the opening weekend, some of it was like a puppet.
Yeah.
But other parts was CGI, and yeah, that creeped me out.
Yeah.
They neither looked right. They didn't stick to one.
Yeah, they did like
style, and since it was constantly shifting between a practical animatronic to CGI and back, it was constantly, his face wasn't consistent.
They were doing
entire fucking movie
for Ian Holm. They were doing like deep fake over the puppet's face.
Yeah, so that was like double Uncanny Valley.
Yeah,
it was because they didn't even stick with one style, and I think it's admirable that the director wanted to use some practical effects in that.
Yeah, my understanding is they touched up a little bit for the at-home release, and the version now is more of the puppet.
Yeah, and I think that's more
than the. I mean, the deepfake's still there, but
but that fits in more of the original. It fits more with the style of the original, and
yeah.
Okay, here we go. So The Rock as the Scorpion King.
See, I don't find that one because he's just
bad CGI.
He's just a video game character. He doesn't talk, or he just makes grunting noises and stuff. Like, that doesn't move like a human. He just has a really bad CGI face.
Yeah, that one doesn't creep me out. Okay, Final Fantasy Spirits Within. Or just any Final Fantasy, I think you could. But
yeah,
I don't think so. I at least from this image, maybe when they're moving and talking.
There's definitely an era of video game cutscenes.
There is something off
that
but
maybe touching.
I know it's trying to be a video game, so adaptation, so it doesn't quite get me there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cats. Yeah. Every single character, Yeah, let's go through the.
Yeah. Cats is a great example. It's just
Ian McKellen, man. I'm so glad Ian McKellen, before the man is an immortal, I'm so glad he's getting to come back as Gandalf and Magneto, and that this doesn't have to be his legacy. Anyways, yeah, Taylor Swift. I think Taylor, like people, especially the actors and characters that you're even more familiar with, it gets worse and creepier.
Yeah.
Like this actress, I don't really know her, so it doesn't creep me out quite as much. It's still creepy. But like with me and McKellen, yeah, it's kind of funny, but it's also weird. And like if I saw that in the corner of my eye, like right now,
just a little 3-foot Ian McKellen cat.
No, full sized Ian McKellen cat. Like in the corner of my room.
I think it would be creepier if it was a little 3-foot sized one, because aren't they supposed to be like 3 feet tall or something like that?
Well, they're cat size.
Because they're cats, yeah.
But they're, yeah, it's just wrong. That movie. Here we go. Beowulf, also Robert Zemeckis.
Yeah.
Also,
that's a weird one.
I think Beowulf himself is he just looks like a cool video game character to me. I don't know. He looks like
the whole movie looks like just a weird video game cutscene.
Yeah, I mean, it looks more like a video game to me. Like a good one, I guess. But like there's definitely shots and stills and when they're moving and talking that it gets off that vibe. Yeah. I actually kind of liked Beowulf. Parts of it. But overall it's a very weird, like almost tech demo.
Yeah, I haven't watched it in a long time, but
oh, this is a bad one. This is the young Jeff Bridges and Tron. That's when they just started doing this de-aging thing.
That was pretty, not
that's
well
uncanny.
Done. Yeah.
Not well done, but it's trying so hard to be real.
Yeah.
And that's a good example. Because at first glance, he looks like a dude. But then the more you look at it.
Yep, and then he starts moving.
Like, the longer and when he starts moving and talking, but the longer I stare at this still, my brain is trying to.
It looks like it's an AI image that hasn't quite figured out
an AI generated image
what
that
a human looks like.
Someone just typed in a 2-word prompt for.
You see that a lot in AI images where it's just like
AI's
the AI doesn't understand really what a human looks like. It's just taking information from online and spitting out what it thinks a human looks like.
Yep. AI is always going to give Uncanny Valley. The new Tron Ares looks cool, by the way. It's kind of Jared Leto's star. I mean, that's kind of a shame, but I mean, it looks good. Yeah. And 9 Inch Nails is doing the soundtrack on it, so that's cool. Okay, here we go. The Polar Express. I knew it was gonna be. I knew it'd be up there, but maybe not number one. Yeah. So, what I'll tell you about Polar Express. This was the first one in this style, right?
Yeah.
First Robert Zemeckis. Yeah.
They all look weird.
They all look weird, but I think she looks pretty creepy. That's not right. But by far, Tom Hanks is the worst, okay? Yeah. Because I know what Tom Hanks looks like. I can picture him in my brain right now. Young Forrest Gump version, old version, middle-aged version, I know what Tom Hanks looks like. He's a household name. We all know what Tom Hanks looks like. That's trying to look like Tom Hanks. But it's not Tom Hanks.
Yeah, doesn't quite make it.
In particular, the conductor, because he's the character he plays multiple characters, but he's the character in that film that's actually trying to look like Tom Hanks in a conductor outfit. And there's so many shots and stills that are god off, like just pure Uncanny Valley. Like I think better than any analog horror almost, like because it's it's trying so hard to look like CGI version of Tom Hanks, but it's not getting it. The technology wasn't there at the time, and I don't think they should try it again.
No.
Okay.
No.
Now, his different characters he plays, I think he also plays a kid, which is just weird. But the kid, yeah, he's definitely off. He's got extremely smooth, features, weird eye, like her eyes weird.
And they
look like they're just plastered on.
They move like cartoon characters.
A
still.
nerd kid. Yeah. But Santa Claus, like Tom Hanks is playing him.
Yeah, that just looks like Santa Claus.
Santa Claus isn't a real person. Because Santa
Claus
is...
Hold on. What are you saying, Jackson?
Well, we don't know what Santa Claus looks like. No one's caught him yet, okay? We just know what Santa Claus is supposed to look.
There you go. You had me worried for a second.
Yeah. But we know what Santa Claus is supposed to look like, right?
Yeah, he looks like
So
Tim.
when we
He looks like Tim Allen. That's what Santa Claus looks like.
Yeah.
We know what he looks like.
When we see a representation of Santa Claus, for me it doesn't throw me off because I'm like, okay, this is just another artistic interpretation of what Santa Claus is supposed to look like.
Yeah.
But all these other characters are supposed to look like just any other human. And in particular, Tom, look at his eyes right there.
Like that's not how eyes work.
Well, maybe with Tom Hanks, I don't know, but yeah, it is not right. Yeah, the children all feature dead-eyed look. That was a constant problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no life in those eyes. No soul. Okay. So that's a good that I think, those were my first. Polar Express was probably my first and earliest experience with Uncanny Valley.
Gives you a pretty good idea of what.
I will name another movie though.
Yeah.
That also gets it, but it's not as bad. But Shrek.
Well, apparently, when they were doing the production of Shrek, and they were doing like pre-screenings, Princess Fiona was right in that Uncanny Valley.
Yeah.
And they had to change her design to make her less realistic looking because she was really creeping out the audience. And like the kids that were watching the pre-screenings were like frightened by her.
Yeah, humans.
So they had to dial it back.
All the human characters in Shrek. See, there, like, you can tell she's more stylized than she probably was to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still there. Especially the human version. Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as it's in motion, like when doing a side eye or a face, that. I mean, it's not terrible.
And it doesn't help that like the rendering and lighting in Shrek makes them look like they have plastic skin.
2006 like Oblivion lighting.
Yeah.
But then, I think the characters that even now, obviously, when they're ogre form, they're ogres. So, there's no Uncanny Valley there, in my opinion. But then, like the background characters. And yes, I'm unbeing. I don't know why. See, that's just a lot of Shrek. I said background characters.
Yeah, like the peasants who.
Like the peasants,
at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, Prince Charming. I mean, he's supposed to look weird, but like. Definitely there, but yeah, all the peasants and everything that he scares the mob, they all look off because there definitely wasn't as much effort put into their rendering and their, but like, yeah, pretty much every human character. Lord Farquaad, no, because he's just a weird creature.
Yeah,
but
weird 4 foot.
I don't think Shrek suffers as bad from it.
No, yeah.
Because it is a bit more. It's just overall more stylized.
Yeah,
It's not quite doing the Robert Zemeckis.
it's a little bit
Like if
easier.
he would have directed Shrek, it would have been. It probably would have been a.
It's a little bit
It
easier
would be
to
talked about in a different light.
excuse Uncanny Valley stuff when it's like you're watching it in the context of an animated movie or something like that.
Now it is funny though how like the new Shrek and like a lot of new animated movies have gone kind of the opposite way. They've gone straight away from the Uncanny Valley.
Yeah.
So like the new where's the still these are all like theorized things. We have the real image of it. Why is it Bing is awful. We go to Google Images, Jesus. Bing's giving me like every like thumb, like YouTube clickbait thumbnail.
The game theory.
The game theory shit. Yeah.
It's just a theory.
Shrek 5. Here we go. Yeah. So here, well, God damn it. I just wanted the picture. Let me just go back. But yeah, here, they're even more cartoony.
Yeah.
But like Donkey has more fur, the hair, but like the overall design has gone even more towards cartoon,
Yeah,
and I think this new Shrek is going to be any good. It's probably going to be cringe. I'm still going to see it because it's Shrek.
Yeah, I know people have complained about the designs. I think the designs look fine.
I think they're okay.
Like they look
I think
fine.
it's okay, but like this is peak.
Yeah.
Okay. That's peak. That's peak Shrek.
That's
the best. I'm gonna save that just for my own use. But yeah. Anyways, let's get into a bit. Let's get into some theories. I have a cool article. In fact, this is like a college paper that I have here, and we can make fun of it. No, just kidding. It's like a short little thing.
Yeah.
It's not a full college paper. It's just it was some kind of prep. Article is written by a student writer from her campus at MSU chapter, the Uncanny Valley hypothesis, and so her intro paragraph basically explains what we've already talked about. But let's go into the second paragraph here. And this is by, who's this by? Who wrote this? Risa Butani. Okay. So a lot of research has gone into finding the explanations in the Uncanny Valley hypothesis. Some of the official conclusions are just not as interesting as the theory itself. While it's pretty clear that this is evolutionary, that's kind of bad, across all humans, the reason why we evolved a feeling of aversion towards the human adjacent is mostly attributed to self-preservation and the fear of disease. And this is, I saw a bunch of YouTube video about this, but like when you see someone that's ill,
yeah, that's
someone that's diseased, someone that's sick, that something's wrong with them.
That is,
you should stay away from them.
It seems to me that among the actual like academic community, the two leading theories about the Uncanny Valley
is like
boil down to either that theory of just like when someone's sick, you notice and you want to stay away from them.
Yeah, because something's off.
Or the other theory is simply that there is no evolutionary thing called the Uncanny Valley. It's just we're just good at recognizing. We know what faces.
Yeah, we're good at recognizing humans, and when something isn't quite right, we
and also when we don't know something, it bothers us. Yeah. So when we can tell something's off, whether it's with a human face or anything else, but we can't tell why, it bothers us.
Yes.
Those are not fun theories, and I want to get into the fun theories.
It's not fun. We're going to get into the fun one. We're going to get into the real spooky stuff of this. And honestly, who the fuck knows, right? But anyways, in the past, those who had diseases had a sickly complexion and slightly distorted features that made other healthier humans wary of them. Plagues have long been part of human history, and it makes sense that it's become a part of our evolutionary DNA to avoid anything like that. I will also add on, we coexisted with Neanderthals,
Yeah.
who, you know, another human Homo species that is kind of that, you know, let's look at some Neanderthal men and, you know, some renders. But like, he looks like a human almost, but he's different. You know,
Yeah.
Wide features, big nose, big brow. You know, the classic Neanderthal caveman look. That's a lot of AI shit. But
Yeah.
but when you look at him, you're like, that's not just a norm. That's just not your day-to-day human.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we would have had to fear them because, you know, warring species essentially. But also,
we also got with them though.
we got with them. We bred with them. So some people either liked how they. Oh, this Willem Dafoe Neanderthal.
I did see,
But
I did see. Side note here, I saw someone post online. They were like, "Why do the goblins in Oblivion Remastered look like Willem Dafoe?"
They do. They have that smirk. But you know, we got with them, and you know, we all have a bit of Neanderthal DNA, because you know they're almost human.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely a lot of these renders and models of what a Neanderthal may have looked like.
I mean,
Gives
again,
me
that's
some Uncanny Valley vibes.
that's
But-
part of the idea why some people don't accept the Uncanny Valley as a thing is the Neanderthal example. As they go, you might look at a Neanderthal and go, "That looks weird," but obviously some humans didn't think it looked that weird.
Well, maybe that was just for the sake of survival. You know,
Like-
just primal. We're gonna
Like
get
some-
down, and
Some humans were cool with it.
maybe the man of the tribe died, but there's another Neanderthal dude. So let's make some babies, right?
just-
To
yeah.
continue our
They're just like, "We'll make do."
self-preservation, right? But you know, so that kind of discredits that theory that, you know, if we were always scared of Neanderthal because they're different than us, why did we get with them?
Yeah.
Right. So, but you know, it's all subjective. I'm sure that, you know, a million years ago that some people were inherently scared of Neanderthals because it's an opposing tribe, an opposing species. They're different
Yeah.
than us. But then there's other people that maybe weren't, and obviously, for the sake of preservation and the sake of survival, they, you know, would team up and
Yeah.
get, you know, get down and dirty, but also, you know, cooperate, and you know, I'm sure they did because, you know, there's been findings showing that Neanderthal were, you know, maybe not quite as smart, but pretty much close to as smart as we were.
Yeah.
You know, that they found artifacts that, you know, could
They
be early Neanderthal religion, burials, things like that.
they did all the stuff we did.
They did everything we did. We just outlasted them.
They were less.
We outfucked them.
Yeah, they were less populous than we were.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And maybe just because of just crossbreeding that it faded away their existence.
Yeah.
You know, there's multiple, you know, theories on why they're not around anymore.
Probably
It's
a bunch
because,
of them just
we
kind
got
of
together.
assimilated.
just assimilate. Yeah.
That's.
I
don't
but you know, like I said, it could be subjective. But we're gonna get into the more fun, scary, spooky, analog horror meme theory, and that is, and I'm gonna continue in this article. Let's get back. But my favorite theory as to why we evolved has nothing to do with disease. It's a far more paranormal idea called the predator theory. This theory suggests that people evolved to be wary of creatures resembling humans because at one point in human history, there was a predator with humanoid features.
Yeah.
Many cultures have legends of such creatures, such as the Wendigo, mythical creature of First Nations folklore. It's believed that an evil spirit that is depicted with human-like characteristics that possesses people and has cannibalistic tendencies. Skinwalkers. I shouldn't even be saying that right now. Oh my god! And I'm in the dark, alone. But Skinwalkers. I'm not on the res. But I don't like saying it because that is something. It's not that I think it's real necessarily, but I've heard so much myth and folklore about it.
We both live in the
we're
part of the
territory
country where there are people around here who legitimately do believe.
If Roshi was here, she would be very upset with me that I've said that. And you know, there's videos and stuff about them. But you know, they shape shift and they look like humans, but then they can turn into a dog or a coyote or whatever,
yeah.
you know, and they're mimicking us. And, so the predator theory, because in nature, let's see what this link brings us to. Oh, it's another breakdown of the Uncanny Valley. But, in nature, there are species that have evolved to mimic other species for the sake of either evading them or predatory practices. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That is true.
Yeah.
And who's to say? Now, we haven't found any evidence of it, and maybe we haven't found any evidence of it because they're that good at mimicking us now. Who's to say that there wasn't something a million years ago, hundreds of thousands of years ago, or whatever, that evolved to specifically prey on us and prey on our fears?
I've seen two different versions of this theory. One is the mimic theory specifically.
Yeah. That's what gives me...
The other theory is just that sometimes I've heard people like differentiate mimic theory with the predator one because they'll say, or maybe there was just at one point a humanoid-like predator.
Well, that could be.
It wasn't specifically mimicking us.
But another humanoid.
Yeah.
Which there was.
Yeah.
And if you go even further back to like Homo erectus and things like that, there was plenty of other hominid creatures, primates.
I did see there was a
so if you even go further back, there was a lot of us.
Yeah.
Warring against,
there is a
surviving
pretty
against
fun, like someone like on Reddit or Tumblr or something like that came up with a pretty fun, like, obviously fake, but like idea of what a mimic type creature could look like and act like, and they kind of created this idea for a creature, and it was pretty cool. See if I can find it.
I think one of the best examples, at least coming from the internet, on like the whole mimic thing is the Mandela catalog. Because that is the mimic thing, the alternates. Like seeing that in the corner of your room. See, this guy. This guy's very close to human, but something's off about him,
No, yeah.
This guy, he looks kind of, it's just like a crazy tweaker. I've seen guys that look like that. This.
Yeah.
Let me see. It's not perfect at copying a human, but it's good enough to at least scare us enough into submission, or to and this isn't, I watched videos about this, like, look at that, this image of Gabriel, that's fucking scary.
Yeah, that's
scary.
That's a great one. Yeah,
that's a good one. The more subtle the better, but it doesn't always have to be super subtle. But like this, it's not subtle, but it's still you know, like that. The eyes are just that's a more artistic rendering, but still,
Right.
you know, but the whole mimic thing, and I've watched videos on. I've creeped myself at night about. I'm gonna set the scene here. Let's say your girlfriend just went out with her friends, went somewhere. You're recording with me right now, and she's gone.
Yeah.
She's supposed to be gone. Well, let's just say we hear it. You or I hear a knock at the door. But like Roshi would never just knock on the door. She would just come in.
Yeah.
She lives here too. She pays rent here too. She doesn't care. Like, and I don't care either. Like, she can just come in whenever. It's her right to do so. I don't keep the door locked. There's no need to knock on the door. But let's say I hear a knock on the door. And it says, "Hey, Jackson, it's Roshi. I'm back. Can you let me in?" I would piss my pants right now if that happened. But
Yeah.
let's say that happened, or it happened to you. It's Nicole, and she knocks on your door. And she's like, "Hey, Colton, it's Nicola. Can you come out real quick?" For one, would she do that?
No.
Yeah, if she really needed to talk to you, like seriously, she would come in, right? Like, either that or she would wait until you're done with the with whatever you're doing at the podcast or whatever you're doing. But let's just imagine that you hear a knock on your door. Let's imagine you're browsing your phone, or you're just trying to go to bed in darkness. You hear that, and I've seen plenty of videos on it, TikToks about it, like, oh, mimicking real life evidence. There's no proving that, and
Here we go. I found.
But let's say that happened. And they try to get you to open. They won't come in. It's like a vampire type thing. Like, you have to invite them, or you have to let them in. You have to be captured by them, but they won't come at you. But they pretend to be you, and but they're not supposed to be there. And then I get a text from her. "Oh, heading home in like 30 minutes. But then you hear someone or something that is exactly sounds like your loved one.
Yeah.
But you know they're gone. You have proof that they're gone. So at that point, that you know something is fucking wrong here. Either it could be a real person just pretending, but no, it's not. You know it's not, because it's identical to their voice.
Yeah.
And at that point, you got to mimic, my friend.
Well, I found that this is what I was talking about.
And that's a creepy thing to think about.
I just shared my screen with you. This is
let me watch.
This creature that someone on Speculative Evolution, r/Speculative Evolution, came up with.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea being this creature that evolved specifically to hunt humans, and it's this long, lanky, black creature, but has a fake face on it. So so they did this artwork, and then they go, and this is what it might look like in the woods.
Oh, Jesus. Jiminy Christmas.
Yeah. I think that's really clever, and like...
Oh, this was back in 2013?
Yeah, this has been...
Whoa. But, well, the image was.
Yeah.
Or no, this Reddit was. Never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I thought it was a more recent thing. So, completely hairless face design to make the doppelganger look more human. Cartilage structures evolved to resemble human ears. They lack any true... Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's
like some Bloodborne.
That's a really cool concept.
That looks like a FromSoft boss, you know?
Yeah. I just think that's a really cool concept for a legitimately freaky looking creature.
Yeah. And yeah, imagine seeing that out in the woods.
Yeah.
You know, it's slowly, you just see the face there approaching you. And, yeah, that's a creepy thing to think about. It's and that's, you know, that's like, okay, maybe we do have that built-in response because there was something like that, or
Yeah.
is something like that. And then you have all the people that believe in the lizard, the shapeshifter, the lizards, the shapeshifters, all that.
Oh yeah, I mean, great example
know.
of the Uncanny Valley just in real life is Mark Zuckerberg. I mean,
Yeah, that guy.
he gives off Uncanny Valley looks.
Yeah. And I don't care about his net worth. Yeah. Look at this guy.
Yeah, you can't tell me that's a real person.
He doesn't act like a real person, and he really doesn't look like a real person. I don't know how many of these or not are edited. But yeah. And I will say, I can't quite put my finger on it, but there's people I've seen out and about that give me a slight uncanny vibe just because they just have a weird look to them. No offense.
I have one theory that I have heard that I thought was entertaining was saying like the idea being that we are naturally drawn and more trustworthy to more people we're attracted to. So the idea being that Uncanny Valley comes from like, natural selection, kind of like we're just, and I thought that was really funny because I don't know if you already realized the problem with that theory is it's suggesting that the Uncanny Valley is just because we think people are ugly, which is reasons why that's not right. But,
that's not right.
But I thought it was funny though.
There's been plenty of creepy YouTube videos, and I don't know why I've been going down this rabbit hole again, and that's kind of what gave me the idea to talk about this. Mm-hmm. But this is an old one.
Yeah, you sent that to me. I watched it earlier today. I'll be totally honest, I didn't find it that creepy.
I personally do. I'm just gonna play it right now.
Well, I know you have a thing with mannequins, too.
Yes. And that's... Just listen.
We'll share these videos. We'll get the links, put them in the description.
Yeah. Until we start posting video, because that's just more work.
Yeah.
But yeah,
this one I didn't find that creepy, if I'm being totally honest.
For me, the vocals, the synthesized voice, and then you have the shot of it going to a backyard. Just this random ass shot. It turned out it was just like an art project, this guy that works on animatronics and stuff. But there was all these theories like, oh, was this a serial killer? And like the animatronic was in his victim's clothes, and that backyard, that shitty footage
there's always
where he buried him.
There's always theories like that, and they're almost never true.
That has always creeped me out, especially I remember when I first saw it. It was like when I was 14.
It's always the people online who do end up being murderers. They never make the creepy videos.
Right? Yeah, it's never.
Apparently, I don't know if you remember. There was a couple years ago. There was a guy making these videos online of like how Skyrim NPCs act, and he would like mimic the movements of a glitchy NPC, and it was funny. He like ended up killing his wife or something like that in real life. Is super fucked up, and everyone was like, "Whoa, I didn't see that coming."
But yeah, I Feel Fantastic video, and they even featured it in Smiling Friends.
Awesome hashtags. Maybe we're wrong about her, you guys. Nobody evil would do that.
What is this thing? Throw this away.
I can't, man. It's not mine. I'm just holding on to it for my uncle until he gets out of the hospital.
Hello, Angel.
Ew. You're right, Charlie. Jumbo really came through.
Jump scare. That show is so fucking weird, but I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching that. For some reason, I would always dive, and I still do it from time to time, dive down a weird rabbit hole at like 3 a.m. and I saw that, and I could not sleep that night. Okay, I'll just be. This is another one I discovered
Oh
a
yeah,
few years ago.
this one
And this is 1983.
this one I thought was pretty
Um,
good.
This was some short film art project.
I also
from
wasn't
1983.
I wasn't
which adds to the
particularly creeped out by it, but I thought it was very interesting
Weird.
and weird. Yeah.
It weirded me out. But the man and the guy at the mask, the human man mask in the background
Yeah.
creeps me to fuck. This whole thing creeps me to fuck. But it's like a weird dream.
I bite at the hand that feeds
Yeah.
me. Slap at the face that eats me. Some kind of animal.
But the guy stalking him the whole time,
Animal.
It's such a
man,
weird.
that's fucking scary. That's weird. That is Uncanny Valley, like mimic.
Yeah.
But this part, it's so weird.
It's
wonderful, though.
Seemed like it was their idea. Her friend Janice was cut from
It's literally like a dream. Like it evokes that feeling so well.
Roger, who had been following them closely, was similarly disposed. The three of them had two things in common.
As someone from Michigan, I can confirm that all of Michigan is like this all the time. This guy said, "This is like one of those."
Smells great. Which one?
This is like one of those nightmares that that felt really scary in the moment, but when you think about it, it makes no sense. This video is like one of those dreams you remember having, but can't remember what was it about when you woke up.
Yeah.
Incredible. Better than 99% of the analog horror you can find around. Cecilia, you're a huge source of inspiration. Truly creative mind. Thank you for being you. Yeah, made by Cecilia Condent.
Yeah.
Or directed by, I guess.
Like
But this,
those crazy sister
The way they talk is so weird in it.
like the
too.
scene talking, like the.
good. She couldn't have been that crazy. I don't think
Yeah,
so.
that's-
You don't think so, huh? No. Well, she.
And they talk
put
about eating a
it
dog.
one time in a microwave oven to eat it.
The-
Yeah. To eat it. Oh no.
No, not that, dude. That's so fucking.
No, silly. To dry it.
And it keeps going.
But
But yeah, that video. I think this whole entire music video, short film. This is Uncanny Valley.
Yeah.
Not everyone in it is, but the presentation,
Yeah.
the guy,
It's-
their voices, but the guy in the background, obviously Uncanny Valley on the visual level, but just the whole vibe of this video is like liminal space, Uncanny Valley,
Face that eats
Walking
me.
Nightmare.
Some kind of animal can made impression.
Yeah.
But it is
You
like one of
can-
those weird dreams you had that like, and I've had plenty of these kinds of dreams where I think it's going to get really scary, but it never really does. It's just weird.
Yeah.
And then I wake up and I think about it for a second and then I completely forget about it. 'Cause
Oh yeah.
I don't keep a dream journal or anything.
I don't
like
either.
that.
Sometimes I usually just
I
remember
think
like
it'd be fun,
one thing about a dream.
But that
Like
that
I
video is
had
one
a
of the-
dream recently, and all I remember
Yeah.
from the dream was I was having a party at my apartment, and one of my coworkers was there, and in the dream I remember I gave him a glass of water, and he took one sip, and then started ranting to everyone about how you can always tell when it's tap water from the taste. And that's all I
Are
remember.
you sure that was a dream? Or
Yeah.
was that a regular orangutan you had in your
And I remember that dream. That's all I remember from the
Was he
dream.
going on? Was he going on and on about fluoride in the water? and
No,
how that's
no.
not a good thing?
No, it was just I just remember him going on about how you can always tell from the taste when it's tap water. And I remember in the dream I was just like, well, geez, you can just tell me you don't like the water instead of passive aggressively telling everyone how you can tell. That I
Right.
gave you tap water.
There's a really great video. I'm gonna share this in our actually I'm gonna be sure to share all of these in our chat so we can post them in the description.
Yeah.
What's a good way of doing this? I guess I could share the tab. Wait. Where's the share button? I'm feeling very boomer right now. Copy the I'll copy the URL for you. I'll put that in our chat. So there you go. It's a really good video by a relatively small creator here. And I say that he's a lot bigger than we are, but why do we fear the Uncanny Valley? And this is what gave me the idea. I actually watched this video and I was like, this is a great untapped topic that we've never touched on. And by Romeister, and I think it's a great video essay. I like his editing style, and obviously a lot of people do. It's got over 1 million views now. It's his most popular video. And yeah, he discusses the different theories, the actual scientific, psychological theories, like the disease, the theory, just survival, and then the predator theory, stuff like that. And he discusses which images evoke it, in Uncanny Valley more. But I think a great example here, just a great video that I would recommend to watch. To kind of wrap everything up. But I think I'm going to make sure to share this. Possibly in Michigan. Post that there. Boom. And then,
definitely check out Possibly in Michigan. Yeah, in 1983, shot on video.
Yeah, that all adds to it.
Musical
That it's
horror
actual,
short film. Yeah.
Yeah,
there's a Wikipedia page for it.
Of course there is.
According to the Wikipedia page, there's been a lot of stuff read into it about messaging about like LGBTQ stuff in it, and violence against women, that sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not seeing here in the Wikipedia article confirming if that's been confirmed by the filmmakers, but, I don't
think anything... Well, I think...
Look into it, though.
Yeah. Check it out. It's 11 minutes long, but it feels like 2 hours.
Yeah.
It feels like you're in a dream. It's very strange. But it's also, a very cool artistic thing.
Yeah.
I shared I Feel Fantastic. You guys can decide whether or not... It'll be in the description. Whether or not you find it creepy. I personally did. Colton did not. I guess I'm a crybaby. I don't know. But, oh, Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. That's another one. Not Uncanny Valley, but it's just another creepy fucking video. Oh, yeah. This one. Dining Room or There Is Nothing. Okay? It's short. I'm going to play it real quick.
Oh, yeah. That's
I remember discovering this one a long ass time ago, like when PewDiePie was first started, like in 2012, and dude, I could not sleep. Like, and I don't know if it's a perfect like example of Uncanny Valley, but this is another one that's like a weird fucking scary dream that you had, and there's all kinds of theories, but yeah, that's not... I hate that I even did that to us, but it's and yeah, it just turned out to be just a art project,
Often they are.
But often they are. But that's one that's still scary. I mean, to me, creepy. This other. So I'll throw that one in there just in case. There was this other YouTube video, there was the creepy pasta era that everything had to have a dark story to
Yeah.
it. Theory. Oh, I love this. Theory. The reason why she's putting her head down in the bowl is because she's checking to see if there's any food left. There is nothing. These Ring camera, there's all kinds of stuff. Like, just actual people can evoke that. I think a movie, like a horror movie that does Uncanny Valley the best, just off the top of my head, would be It Follows. Have you ever seen that one?
I don't think so. No.
Great film. It's well, it's not underrated at all. It's a very beloved indie horror film. And they're making a new one apparently. Yeah, I forget which studio house or whatever it was. I think Neon, but which is like the alternate A24. But
Yeah.
It Follows is basically. I think this is a good clip of it. Girl, it's when the guy actually comes in there.
Don't open the door.
There you go.
See?
Oh, yeah.
Everything's okay.
And it's behind her.
That's like Mimic. Uncanny Valley,
Yeah.
So the whole thing of this movie, the whole gimmick, the thing is, it's like a parable on STDs.
Oh,
You
yeah.
pass on this curse when you have sex with somebody, and what it is, this entity that follows you forever to the ends of the earth. And it takes on the form of just random NPCs, but just random people. And but it never stops. It doesn't run. It just slowly walks towards you indefinitely until it kills you.
Yeah.
Or does whatever it does to you. It kind of leaves it open on what actually happened. Maybe you become one of its forms.
Yeah.
And just walking towards you, so out of place. And it starts out where it just looks like a regular person, but slowly throughout the movie they start looking weirder and weirder. But I think that's a movie that does a really good job of fun. But yeah, I think there it is suggested we have The Shining, which is an Uncanny Valley, but it is, I think, maybe one of the best liminal space movies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, The Shining taps into that.
And like I've said before, liminal space is very much the Uncanny Valley of place, of geography, of, reality. But, I guess The Thing kind of does it too a little bit. Like when before the creature exposes itself or before it's caught, there's a couple moments in that movie where it's uncanny. Or, you remember the scene in The Thing where they catch it and it's like running away?
Mm-hmm.
It's the guy running away, and then but the fingers come out.
Yeah.
And it's just the guy. Let me see if I can find that clip. I don't know what it would be called. Thing clip. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, that's
this. Here we go. Let's get to this is very Uncanny Valley in my opinion. It's got the fucked up morphed hands, and then
oh yeah,
the fucking roar. Like he
Yeah.
looks like a normal guy. Obviously, that's like a great example of the mimics, and the thing is a mimic.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorite movies of all time, actually. But and yeah, Kurt Russell doesn't give a shit. Everyone else is staring and all, and then Kurt Russell just lights the fucker on fire. Badass. But yeah, that's it's very rare that a horror movie taps into the uncanny valley, like even briefly at times, like to the same degree that we actually experience it with when it's not trying.
Yeah.
But I think those are a couple good examples. And then you have the movies that are unintentionally, like we discussed earlier, the movies that are unintentionally trying to do it.
Yeah.
You know, like all the Polar Express and everything.
Henry Cavill in Justice League.
The mustache, because he couldn't shave his mustache.
So they had to
And
CGI that part of his face, and it looks weird.
Yeah, like the thing is, he really couldn't wear a fake mustache for Mission Impossible?
I guess not. I don't know. Or
like
maybe
that,
or maybe at that point he just didn't give a shit about the Justice League movie. And,
he probably didn't. Superman mustache, just Omni Man almost. I mean.
Yeah. But it's like, yeah,
it baffles me that this was the opening clip.
Can we ask you some questions?
Yeah.
Oh no.
I can't really see. No, but yeah, that's a great example of like it looks weird.
How many people that you saved have you saved?
And unless you really know what to look
There it
for.
is. Can you see it on your end now?
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the opening scene to the movie.
Yes, it does.
But it looks like an S.
Yes, it's meant to. It's meant to wind like a river.
It's so bad.
It's because
it's terrible.
That's not how people's lips moves when they talk.
Yeah.
Easy to lose. If you dig around, it's usually close by.
Did you ever fight a hippo?
I think that is a good example, but it's baffling that was the opening scene of the movie. Right off the bat, you get poorly done deep fake CGI covering his mustache, and the lips aren't right and they don't match up right with what he's saying.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. I think they got rid of that in the Snyder Cut. I don't even think that clip is even there.
I think so. And they also did some reshoots for the Snyder Cut without the mustache.
Well, and when they shot it when he didn't have the mustache, prior to. But anyways, I mean, we could go on and on. But I think we've about covered it. Yeah, the Uncanny Valley. I mean, it's
just
when something is trying to look human, but it's not quite there. And I think it's something we experience all the time, sometimes without thinking about it.
It's also just a fun internet rabbit hole to go down.
A fun rabbit hole to go down. But yeah, check out the videos in our description. I think that will give you a good experiences, and Romeister's video will give you a good rundown on what the Uncanny Valley is and why it's so prevalent and why it gives us the creeps. Yeah. And look forward to regular Odd Drunk podcast episodes again. I think we're in a good place now, and we moved to Discord. I think it's working well. I mean, we shall see after I stop this recording, but yeah, look forward to it. And we're gonna continue morning oddities, but it's Odd Drunk Podcast is back up and running again, because we're up and running again, right?
Yeah.
Mentally. Maybe physically, but not mentally. But either way, we're here. And like we said earlier this season, expect more episodes like this, like interesting to different topics, not just our formulaic like lazy like commentary after commentary or different. But we're still gonna do
we'll still have
still
some
gonna
of it.
have our fun because
Yeah.
like album reviews, video games in time, love that.
Yeah.
Commentaries here and there. But also expect just movie reviews too. Like it really justifies that. But we're definitely going to be doing like we did in the past, our first couple years, especially our first year. I want to try to bring it back to that first year.
Yeah.
That kind of vibe and the topics and anyways, so expect more like that because it's fun. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
yeah, we're not always gonna have the energy to do something more research, in depth, but we're definitely gonna be doing a lot more of that. But I think instead of skipping entirely like we have been, we will still have something.
Yeah.
Even if it is just a lazy episode. But sometimes those can be fun too. Well, we have fun with them because they're easy. And I think even now we're on Discord, like commentaries and stuff will be even more fun for us and easier. Give it screen sharing possibly, and also, I would very much like to stream.
Yeah,
even if just stream some games, and get some buddies on and just have some fun.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll try to be more active online just in general.
Yeah. But yeah, just been busy and we've talked about this in the past outside of the show and on the show, but we do this for fun. This is a hobby, but we do have real jobs and real lives that we have to be responsible and we have to do, this is a hobby for us. It's fun. It's supposed to be fun for us. And if we, kind of disappear for a little bit, don't worry. We're not going anywhere. And obviously we've still been doing morning oddities. So you still have that. So we're still here. But we plan on being consistent from here on out. I really have a lot of fun with this, especially a topic like that, like getting into topics like this.
Yeah.
It's really fun because it's something I don't
I
don't get to talk about with people.
I like doing the spooky topics. I like doing the weird ones.
Well, it's spooky. Just interesting and
Yeah.
And yeah, our spooky and weird episodes tend to do well. People like that kind of stuff. And I like that kind of stuff. It's fun. Anyways.
Yep.
You have a drink? You can virtually cheers.
Yep.
It's
empty
cheers.
glass, but cheers.
All right.
Yep.
Stay frosty. Don't answer the door when you hear a familiar voice, and make sure you text them first or give them a call. Check that it's the right person.
Yeah.
And safe out there with all those. Honestly, there's some people I run into. I'm like, you are not an actual person. There's no way you can be an actual person.
Yeah.
Like
Mark Zuckerberg.
Yes. It would just there's been some interesting people I've bumped into recently, and who knows? Maybe I'm a mimic. Maybe I haven't been me since.
I wouldn't be able to tell from the webcam.
Exactly. Maybe you are.
No, I'm not a mimic. I'm just AI.
That's what a mimic would say. Or okay,
it's different.
Right? Yeah. Anyways, stay frosty, stay safe out there, and don't
drink and drive.
Don't drink and drive. I mean, that's a good idea. That's a very good idea. And in fact, it's so easy to get Uber now.
Yeah.
And I was gonna try to if you visit the Uncanny Valley, make sure you know the exit.
Yep.
Because
once
you go down.
The one
Once you go down,
Wisconsin.
Yeah, the one in or possibly in Michigan.
Possibly in Michigan.
It all ties together. Anyways, we'll see you for the next All Drunk podcast, and of course, Morning Oddities.
Yes.
We can roll that outro.
This is not a test. I repeat, this is not a test. The Odd Drunk Podcast recommends you follow their Instagram and join their Facebook group for more fun content. To visit all of our current streaming and social media platforms, visit the link tree in the description. If you enjoy the show, we would be appreciated it if you would leave a review on Apple Podcasts. The Odd Drunk Podcast would like to remind you to drink responsibly and not to drink and drive.